back, everybody, to Real Estate of Mind. Jamie Austin here, your host. And today I have a very special guest, Simon Cazares of Keller Williams Luxury South Bay. He's my team leader as well, but a fearless leader, a broker, which I had that job and decided too much. And thank God we've got a Simon. That's all I have to say. Simon, welcome to the show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for the invitation. God, this is an honor for me to be part of this, Jamie. So thank
Oh,
you.
you're so sweet. I was actually on the Producer's Circle, which is
Yeah,
a podcast that you do and broadcast out to many agents
yeah,
across multiple offices, which is really great, which is kind of how I got inspired because you and I started going down a rabbit hole about AI, right?
right.
And
Yes.
how much changes in our industry are happening right before our very eyes. Like a couple of years ago, we knew it was there. Some people were starting to use it. But I think as of like just in the last 6 months, you're really starting to see like a major ramp up for AI across the board for all real estate platforms and agents. So I just kind of wanted to get a little bit ahead of it and talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
Let's
got it.
talk about it. I think it's important. I think it's vital. I think it's something that agents should know a little bit about it.
Yeah, definitely. We'll just kick it off right to the first question. I mean, as do you think that is AI going to create more successful agents, or do you think it's going to basically just expose the gap between top producers and everyone else?
Love the question. So honestly, this is just my opinion. AI is not going to eliminate agents, first and
Okay.
foremost, right? It's
Well, thank
going
goodness.
to eliminate efficiency and
Hmm.
expose the lack of discipline, in my opinion. Top
Yeah.
performers are already operating at a very high level, in my opinion. Follow-ups, database, consistency, and just amplifying AI into your business would definitely help. The average agent, in my opinion, I believe, is cutting themselves short if they're not using AI. Top performers are treating it like an infrastructure, in my opinion, when it comes to the technology. You know, it's more of a leverage, and really to help you with the gap sometimes that we're going 100 miles and there's something missing, right? And that's when you can use AI as part of the process. And it
Leverage your
basically
systems, in other words.
exactly,
Yeah.
at the end, it's how you portray it, right? Some fear
Hmm.
it, and
Hmm.
some really acknowledge it, in my opinion. For me, also, I speak with so many real estate agents on a consistent basis. Agents like yourself, top performers, experienced brokers, know the ins and outs. And there's a lot of them that still a little uncomfortable when it comes to the
Yeah.
opportunity to use artificial intelligence. So really is it can be a distraction or it can be an
Hmm.
enhancement, in my opinion.
Yep. I totally 100% agree. What was that? What is that? Was that you or me? We had a blow of wind come through. Anyway, so one of the next questions I would have is like, what do you think in the next 5 years? Do you think how real estate agents' job will look completely different? What are some of the areas you think that will look completely different?
Yeah. Well, look, I'm pushing almost 30 years in this industry. We started, or I should say, I started with no technology. The MLS, as an example, was a encyclopedia that would come to the office on a
I think I
Friday
missed that by
morning.
just a couple of years, but I'm glad I missed it because that was nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that's how we got all of the information, right? 30 years now, look at how much technology has revolutionized in how we do business, in my opinion. So really my stand on this and the position of your question is, lead conversions and client communications will be completely changing, right? And then how you navigate AI. Right now, what I'm seeing with real estate agency is inconsistencies when it comes to follow up. And I think there's always been a gap and a challenge when it comes to follow up. We push and push and push, prospect, lead gen, prospect, do open houses, cold call for sales by owners. But, when it really comes to the follow up, I think that's where we see a little bit of lack of agents. It's like the follow up, the execution, right? Is sometimes the most exhausting part of it. We get excited about it, but then when it comes to the follow up, I think we need to push ourselves a little bit more. right now, also, in my opinion, you got to look at it from how you can use AI, in my opinion, is immediate response, right? That's the beautiful thing about AI. Lead nurture as well, how you can nurture leads and opportunities. Uh, Personal, right? Drip campaigns that you can create with AI as well. Property matching too as well, right? You can put a prompt into AI, and it'll give you a customized property matches that might fit your client's needs and wants. CRM integration too. A lot of the third-party CRMs are now integrating AI as part of our platform. Command, as an example that we use here at KW, it already integrates AI as well. So the consumer is going to expect instant intelligence, in my opinion.
I think you are
I'm just going to
correct.
say it for what it is. Instant is kind of the now that it wasn't in the past, because people are getting smarter and are using technology to really scale what their needs and wants are as
Knowledge
well.
has always been like now exponentially easier to find, right? Even
Right.
down to like looking for the home. Like they don't start with a real estate agent. They've been starting online for over decade now. At least that. So we got kind of like that shift. They used to go, we were the gatekeepers originally. We're no longer the gatekeepers. The average buyer and seller is really savvy as to what information is at their fingertips. And it's even increasingly so with AI. So there's just more and more information and it gets a little more specialized and specialized. What would you say that the biggest mistakes that agents are making right now when they try to use AI?
They're not utilizing at a very high level, in my opinion. I don't think they
Okay.
know, they use it surface, but if you
Mm-hmm.
really understand how AI works, it's a very powerful platform. It's basically, it can be your coach, it can be your mentor, it can be your psychologist, it can be your
Yeah.
friend as well. When you use AI, it's just like unbelievable.
Just hopefully
I
not
always
your new spouse. Friend lightly, but yes, I see where you're going. But yes, a great coach, a great advice person, a great like taskmaster, whatever.
exactly. Yeah, so and that's the beautiful thing, especially like when I educate a group of newer agents, right? I say, first and foremost, you need to have a coach, right? You got to have a mentor. You got to have someone that's going to help you scale your business, but ultimately the goal is to get you into production, right? So in essence, if you don't have the budgeting to afford a coach or a mentor, right? Then utilize some of the tools for the reasonable cost of utilizing AI will enhance your ability now to have a mentor or coach that will
Yeah.
ultimately debate with you, argue with
Yeah.
you, and give you ideas and strategies and how to maneuver. I'll give you an
And act as an
example.
educator as well, and an advocate,
Exactly.
an educator and advocate.
100%. One of the questions I had with one of our agents was, "Hey, there's a great opportunity for an expired listing, and based on the information, I'd like to try to tackle on that opportunity to speak with the seller. I just don't know how to go about it." I says, "Not a problem. Look, let's use AI as an example to really surface." And I told the agent, give me the address, then we'll
Yep.
research the information of the homeowner, then we'll look at the description of the characteristics of the home, and then we'll throw it some prompts. It was listed twice with two other agents. I was so detailed, and she was so taken back. It's like, my gosh, you gave it
Yeah.
so many different prompts, but the more concise and persistent that you are, it really enhances the ability to really create a customized approach and how to navigate a conversation with a situation like this on an expired listing. And
Absolutely.
surprisingly,
You
she
can
got
even
the
ask
listing.
it to you can even ask it to differentiate yourself from the other
Yeah.
listing agents who've had the property.
Exactly. I always say you got to stress test the conversation. And,
Mm-hmm.
because if you don't know how to give it proper prompts, it's
100%.
gonna it's gonna basically give you what you want to hear. But in
Right.
essence, let's use real life situations and scenarios. And this is why you have to give it prompts, basically stress testing my approach. Does this make sense? Or should I use a different way and angle and how I communicate with you so I can ultimately get closer and closer to obtaining that signed agreement and,
Love that.
going on to the next one.
Yeah, I love that. That's really smart. And I bet that was a lesson that was not to be given probably 6, 7 years ago, right? But now
Exactly.
it's like now we can kind of integrate that and really see the value of that. What do you think is your opinion? Because we kind of had this discussion when I was doing your podcast, but it really was kind of intriguing because there are people that are also doing podcasts and video vlogs and whatever, and I do all of those as well. But you and I had a discussion about what do you think an agent should draw the line between automation and authentication? Because I feel very strongly that at least with the home buying process, maybe not with or the home selling process, not maybe with everything, but I believe where our weight in gold is going to come back into play is if we leverage systems and efficiency and systems and contracts, right? The thing where people will come back to us is they still want an authentic human being to guide them through that experience because it is still one of the largest purchases that people will ever make their entire life. And I don't think AI's quite got that part, and we'll never be able to walk into a house and go, I see, I understand this house could really work for you because of A, B, C, and D, right?
Right.
So what is your thought on that?
Yeah, good point, good question. So let me kind of backtrack a little bit, Jamie, and just kind of give you my perspective and what I believe, right? A
Sure.
transactional part gets automated, right, when you use AI, but the advisory part becomes premium. This is you, this is
Yes.
who you are. AI cannot replace emotions, AI cannot see expressions, AI
That's
cannot
right.
see judgments. That's where the human element comes into play, in my opinion, right? And
Yeah.
regardless of how we see it and portray it, people still need that human interaction, in my opinion, and
Yeah.
that's which is very, very important. AI is uh, an ability to really enhance and go faster, but I
Mm-hmm.
still
Mm-hmm.
believe that the human interaction and seeing face to face, if it's not on, a Zoom call or over the phone or in person, right? I think that still is part of the elements of what we need to do in order for us to gravitate. Because, we still have a lot of older generation of people with a lot of real estate that do not like the artificial elements to it. They still need
Yeah.
want
Yep.
that personal. Let's get together. Let's meet. Let's come to a resolution, and that's
Mm-hmm.
important. And
Yeah.
especially for like the newer generation of agents, right? And when I
Right.
talk of the newer generations, are like the younger agents that are so entrenched in the social medias, the video content, making themselves look, really, really good and all that. But there's still a missing link, in my opinion, that most agents will see right through it, right? It's
Yeah.
great, but I think we still need to have that human interaction with people.
I think 100%. I mean, AI can't walk into a home and actually see the location, walk into it, get a feel for it, like go, yeah, this works, or this house is weirdly laid out, like, oh no, there's too much here to do. I don't feel like this is, there's all of that stuff that when we go to a house with a client that we give them. And I'm very honest with my clients, especially after you know them and you've taken copious notes and you've worked with them, like there's an element there that AI just can't replace. But I mean, it can be very efficient. You can get a great video of a house, but even some of the videos that they take of homes, I think is like a tool that helps, but I still don't think it substitutes when humans walking through the threshold of a home and go, oh, like it might have looked great on camera, but when you're here and you see the proximity to a school or a park or a very, very busy street that, it can't take all of that in, right? So you got to still do that due diligence with your clients and help them out.
That's
So I
right.
think that's kind of where, yeah, we'll still come in and still be very valuable for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see AI is very simple. Look, utilize it for the low value task, in my opinion. And what I mean by
Mm-hmm.
that, Jamie, is like use it for prospecting, negotiations, recruiting. I use recruiting elements, AI, to enhance, especially depending on the level of production, right? Because I'm not going to have a similar conversation with someone that is a new licensed agent compared to someone that does 40, $50 million in production. The
Right,
level
right,
of
absolutely.
competence and the level of understanding of the process is going to be a lot different. But believe it or
Sure.
not, I still utilize AI to give me ideas, strategies, and how to maneuver that conversation, right? Because someone that's new is looking more of the training elements and
Mm-hmm.
accountability, where someone that is a high producer, right, sees it as how can I enhance and do more? How can
Exactly.
I enhance and be more productive where I'm more
And scale.
systematic, right? I want to
Yep.
be just the face of the of my business and just go on appointments, but I don't want to worry about the internal elements of the operations of my business, right? And
Right.
that's where hand on hand, having, a virtual assistant as an example, or, utilizing AI as a platform that will allow you the ability to be hands off. And
I love
that's
it.
what's so cool about, utilizing AI.
Yep. All right. And then the last question I've got for you. Well, before we get to the two bonus questions, which are really about you, what do you think top producers are doing with AI today that other agents are just missing somehow?
Good question. It's a tough question in my opinion. But here it is. I mean, average agents are using AI on occasions, right? Where top
Okay. Yeah.
performers are utilizing AI to build a enterprise or a business, right? Look
Yep.
at some of the mega agents out there, and they've leveled up on how they're utilizing AI.
Yep.
So again, from a standpoint from running a very successful real estate company, being in this industry for a very long time, it helps with recruiting for office managers, brokers, team leaders, owners of real
Right.
estate company. But it also can help you with listing presentation preparation, ideas and strategies, objection handlers. One
Right.
of the things, and I'm gonna, again, go back in time, how I was trained, Jamie. I got trained by Mike Ferry, right?
Yeah.
And Mike Ferry
Yes.
was cool, right?
I
We
did
used to
too.
play
Yep. Yep.
cassettes and VHS videos, and we would watch the listing presentation. And
Yep.
surprisingly, I remember Mike Ferry was interviewing a seller, and the seller was Tom Ferry, his son. He was
Oh, how
pretending to
funny.
be
Yeah.
a seller, and the seller was giving Mike, objections and how to handle that, right? Well, that
Mm-hmm.
was then. That was 30 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of the elements in the byproduct of that is still relevant, in my opinion. I think, it's still part of the initial process because I believe, in my opinion, is, if you can accomplish and understand three things: learn contracts, learn negotiations, and learn objection handlers, then you're going to be in a good place
You're
to
gonna be
continue
good.
a very long, successful career, in my opinion.
Yep.
But the beautiful thing about the AI, from a top performer is, handling those objections.
Mm-hmm.
It also helps like with training meetings as
Absolutely.
well.
Train yourself. Give me
Yeah,
5 reasons why a seller might say no, and then work from there. Give me the objection handlers, and
that's
boom,
right.
spits it out for you.
Yeah,
It's not, you
exactly.
don't even have to pay hundreds of dollars a month to get that from a real estate coach. You can get it from AI now.
Exactly. Well, and it also helps with your database as well, transaction workflow as well,
Yep.
internet operations too, So the beautiful thing is it can do a lot faster than we as human beings, in my
Oh my
opinion.
gosh, for sure. I'm shocked. It's like I kind of feel like I'm building this empire or something. It's really crazy, and I'm like, oh, that would have taken so long to do, and now I'm just like do 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 do, having so much fun with it. It's also just fun. It's just like a creative experience. Well,
It
thank
is.
you for coming on the show and answering those AI questions. Now, for the last two questions, this is really
Sure.
more about you, but I
Okay.
always love to ask this of my guests. So, first
Yeah.
question is there a house, a place, or a room that when you first walked into it, it changed the trajectory of your life or the direction?
Um, yes and no.
Okay.
So,
I can handle both.
so I still haven't, and I'm gonna share, kind of a concept here because I think it's relevant. So part of my ultimate goal is, if you're a Southern California born and raised, you know the cities, right? You know the area that you live, and then you know exactly where you're inspired to one day live because it's just like, wow, this is where I can see myself. I haven't been able to get to that location yet, but I still have that vision that one day I will, and it's not as far-fetched as it was when I was a kid. Now, bear in mind, I was a kid in junior high. I had my moped in the 80s, and I lived in Monterey Park at the time. If you're
Yeah,
familiar with Monterey Park, it's
I am.
just,
I've sold in Monterey Park before.
yeah, it's just east of Los Angeles
Yep.
City.
Up in
And
the hills.
yeah, and I lived there for quite some time there,
Hmm.
and I had the privilege. I was always a hustler, and I
Hmm.
always found ways to make money. So I ended up finding at a yard sale a moped for $500, and I said I gotta have it. So I ended up purchasing this moped, and that was kind of my freedom. I think I
Yeah.
was
I
about
started to say that's a pretty cool thing to have as a
yeah,
teenager.
yeah, yeah. It was a motorized motor scooter, and I loved it. But that gave
Yeah.
me the freedom to go out there and really just cruise, right?
Yeah.
And with that, I was able to explore other areas, and then I happened to come to an area that I was just blown away, and I says, "Gosh, I would love one day to live here." And that place is San Marino, just south of
Yes.
Pasadena.
Yeah. I've sold in San Marino. That is a
Yeah,
beautiful pocket.
yeah,
And
I
it's so
love.
idyllic. South Pasadena and San Marino, like beautiful, beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's always been my trajectory that one day. Now,
I love it.
and I have to give, credit to this industry, right? Because I've been gracious enough to sustain, almost 30 years in real estate, and it's been a
Yeah,
blessing. It's
yeah,
provided, the necessary needs for me and my family, and I can share so many wonderful things about what real estate has provided. But more so is the path that, getting my real estate license as a young 20-year-old kid,
mm,
ultimately becoming an investor, running successful real estate companies, and now, being able to now own real estate, not just my personal home, but
yeah,
investments and getting cash flow. It definitely defines of why we do what we do, right, in the bigger
absolutely.
picture.
Yeah,
So one day I'm going to probably sell everything and put a substantial large down payment on a home out there in San Marino. I
I
still
love it.
believe
That's a
that
beautiful
that's a
goal.
place that I would definitely see myself. And I'm also looking at in Florida too. I'm
I
looking at
love it.
Florida
Okay.
because I want to be closer to
Definitely
the,
more affordable. Well, I say more affordable in Florida. It depends, but
yeah,
there's a lot of reasons why the no income tax. I can understand why people are very attracted and gravitated towards Florida. Well,
right.
you sort of answered my second question, which is, are you in your forever home? And if you are, how do you know you are? But if not, and there's a next chapter in your life, what is it going to be? And you answered it. It sounds like
Yeah,
it's San Marino or Florida. Could be either. Yep.
exactly. But believe
No,
it
I
or not,
love those.
I'll share this quick story. Currently I have a house that hits all of the bells and whistles, and it was
Uh-huh.
only really out of a surprise.
Yeah.
The home that I currently live hits everything that I want. A Spanish home, tile roof. It has a very unique basement. I have a swimming pool. I have a three-car garage. I have a large lot.
Nice.
And it hits everything, but it's still not where I want to. If I can take this particular home and take it to San Marino, then that would
Yep.
be my forever home.
I got it. I got it. I got
But
it.
but
Oh,
the beautiful thing is you can do real estate forever and ever and ever. You know, you don't have to retire. You just got to, look at it in a different faucet and views.
Absolutely.
But real estate can be done forever, in my opinion.
That is right. I totally agree. And I think that's what I intend to do as well. So it's too good to let go of. Well, Simon, thank you so much for telling us your stories and also for sharing your information on AI, because I know that you interface with it every day on a daily basis. So why don't you tell our lovely listeners how they can potentially reach you and potentially even take a visit and maybe perhaps join our fantastic office, which it is a fantastic office.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you very much. You can follow us on our KW Shares website. It's kwsouthbayhub.com. I'll repeat it again, KW South Bay Hub, all one word. All of our information, the history, the leadership, our calendar, our resources, everything, my information is there. We are centrally located in the city of Torrance in the South Bay area, just minutes away from Redondo Beach, Palos Verdes, Redondo, Hermosa, Manhattan, and just the beautiful coastal air that you get from the South Bay. So again, follow me on social media, Simon Cazares, and yeah, I'm pretty much exposed everywhere. So, but I really appreciate the opportunity to be on this podcast.
Oh,
Thank you very
yeah.
much, and it was fun.
Yeah, it's always fun speaking with you. We can always just get right down to it, and I love that. So thank you, Simon, for joining us today, and thank you for listening to Real Estate of Mind. Please like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. You can also find us at restateofmind.com. We have a website. We are also known as the larger coastalcollective.com, actually .life, that's a new one, but coastalcollective.life, where you can find all of the many things of this empire that we are building here. We'd love to have any suggestions. If we haven't hit a topic that you want to see or hear something about, we're trying to make Real Estate of Mind not only informative, but fun, and someplace you might just want to hang out for 20 minutes and perhaps learn something. So thank you again for joining. Jamie Austin here, your host of Real Estate of Mind, and we'll see you next time.